What comes to your mind when you hear the word loss?
Wow. Okay. What comes to mind when I hear the word loss? A lot of emotions.
Mm,
Uh, Anger of missing out, shame, potentially. It depends on what kind of loss we're talking about. Maybe guilt for losing something, sadness.
yeah. Why do you feel those emotions? Or why do you think you feel those emotions?
I feel those emotions because of the loss that I've had in my own life.
Mhm.
And I can relate to the emotions that I felt, whether it was like the loss of a relationship, the loss of an opportunity, the loss of, you know, a plan I thought I was going to follow through on, and maybe it was because of me,
Mm.
and I'm the reason it didn't work out.
Like you blame yourself?
I blame myself, or maybe legit I was to be justfully blamed, like I screwed
Mm.
up. So that's where shame can come in,
Yeah.
or guilt. Um, and then other times it's like hurt,
Mm.
like if I lost a relationship because somebody hurt me, and
Yeah.
now I'm feeling that hurt, or I'm sad, I missed out on the opportunity.
Mm.
Yeah.
What's the biggest loss that you've had in your life before?
Mm. I'm trying to decide. There's two of them. You know both of
I
them.
know both of them. Yeah. Well, I guess we can talk about both of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Which one would you wanna touch on first?
The one that came to mind first, as far as they're like different categories. It's hard for me to like per
Mhm.
se like this one was worse than the other kind of
They're
thing.
2
'Cause
very different
they're
types of
different, but
loss.
lost, and I have a
Yeah.
hard time mentally just categorizing it. They're both horrible and really big.
Mhm.
But the one that came to my mind first is the loss of my mom.
'Kay.
Yeah.
How did you I guess what did you experience when you lost your mom, and then how did you eventually overcome that? Because I feel like for at least from the men's side, it's very hard to recover from the loss of your mother as a man.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine what that day will be like for me.
Mhm. Yeah. I think the hard thing for me is because it happened too soon.
Mm. What age were you when you lost her?
It was like 30,
Okay, yeah. So 5 years ago?
about 5 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Early 30s, and my mom will never be able to see my future kids, never be able to see me get married.
Mm.
And it's not just like it's hard with the loss, but it's also like thinking about I lost the future that I got to have with her, of her coming over, babysitting the kids,
Yeah.
seeing the kids go to play their baseball games and do their report cards in school, and be a part of their life, because she really wanted to see me get married and have kids.
Yeah.
And so I lost that opportunity for her to experience that with me.
Mm.
So it was very difficult.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, like, as a man, um, men are very lonely creatures.
Yeah.
Um, and it's hard. You can't as a man be really deep friends with a lot of women,
No.
or into you can't be that close with them.
Mhm.
So really you got your mom and your spouse.
Mhm.
Maybe if you have a sister,
Yeah.
or then there's
Like
healthy.
family.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
and I have good female friends. I
Sure.
probably have more female friends, honestly, than the average guy, but I'm not inappropriate about it,
Right.
you know?
Like church community, something like that
Yeah,
of like
yeah, yeah.
friends of friends,
Yeah,
groups. Yeah.
yeah, and
Like
it
what do you call it? Coincidental friends or something like that? I don't know the word for it.
maybe, or, like,
Yeah.
just, like, circumstantial.
Circumstantial
Yeah,
friends.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I have a girlfriend, and she's completely comfortable with my, other female friendships. I'm not hanging out with my other females one on
Yeah,
one,
definitely sure.
or
Yeah.
calling them right before we go to bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very, but it's, there's a way to do it
Mhm.
that keeps healthy boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like in relationships, I guess we kind of skipped to relationships right
Yeah.
there. Uh m- Women have a hard time trusting men nowadays because
Yeah.
men love having female friendships, like
Mhm.
modern days, I feel like it's not taught enough of like there should be certain boundaries. Like you shouldn't go and meet with a girl one
Mhm.
on one. Like even if it's just a friend, that's
Mhm.
not really appropriate if you have
Yeah.
a spouse or a
Yeah.
girlfriend. Um, it depends on like situation. Like if you're in group hangouts,
Mhm.
that's fine. Of course, talk to your partner about it all. But
Mhm.
um, I guess going back to the um the loss, were there any lessons that you learned from going through something that traumatic? Especially because you lost her at a younger age. Like everyone goes through the loss of their mother unless, you die before her,
Mhm.
unfortunately.
Mhm.
But like losing someone like that at such a young age, that's got to be very traumatic. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably learned some lessons from that after grieving.
Yeah, I learned a lot. You never know how you're gonna handle some circumstances until you go through it.
Mm,
Um, I I learned with my mom. I know it's cliche to say, like, "Oh, family's everything and
mhm,
it's so important and I love them," but, like, I learned how really deep that love was.
mm,
It's kinda one of those things where you don't realize how good it was until it's gone,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
It's like I'll use a more minor example. It's like when we were kids, if you had a good childhood, you didn't worry about your bills being paid. You go home, everything's cush,
yeah,
right? And then when you're an adult and you got rent and you got to make sure your clients pay and
yeah.
and you got responsibilities and you don't have everything provided for you. You're like, wow, like you kind of appreciate what your parents did for you when you were
Mhm.
9 years old, right?
Yeah.
And so I used to get frustrated with my mom, for example. Like she'd be on my back,
Yeah.
right?
Just
She'd
like
like,
anybody would.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
any good parent, and sometimes, we would get annoyed, like, oh, like
Mhm.
my parents just won't get off my back. They're always like, it's annoying because they're trying to, you know, make me do what they want me to do. But
Yeah.
really that comes from a place of care.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I heard a quote, it said something along the lines of, um, it's like, "Oh, man, it was always frustrating because, my parents, they're on my back, but the older I got, I started to realize that they're one of the few people, if the only people
Mm.
that actually had my ear back or actually had my
Yeah.
back."
Yeah.
Yeah, and just realizing, like, wow, like, there's so few people out there that really have my back.
Mm.
Like to that level, if that
Yeah.
makes sense,
Yeah.
like you're a good friend of mine,
Mhm.
and vice versa, but I'm
Exactly.
not
Yeah.
going to bed thinking about Jack.
No, I hope not.
Yeah, that'd be kind of
My girlfriend
strange.
would have something
Yeah,
to
yeah,
worry
yeah.
about,
Or
huh?
do I want you to prosper and succeed, and I want your business to thrive,
Mhm.
but I'm not like losing sleep over your business.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I
Yeah.
I want the
No, it
best
makes
for
sense.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you worrying about my sales coming in?
No.
No, no.
No. I'm happy for you if
Yeah,
they do.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But guess who it does care about that stuff?
Your mom,
Your mom,
your partner.
your partner.
Yeah.
And it's like
That's a really good
you
point.
you see what I mean? It's like they're
Yeah.
they're they're always thinking about you.
Hmm.
And so you realize like the people who are actually like they're thinking about you. Like you're like they've got your back
Yeah.
and to a deeper level of love.
Mm.
And that was an experience that I learned of like, wow, there's very few people who really love you and think on you constantly like a parent has. So it's
True.
it's a huge loss. And so that experience taught me to really value relationships.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. How has that transitioned into you nowadays? Like, how did that lesson pour over into your life now?
Yeah, I try to be kind
You are very
and be
kind.
thank
You're
you.
probably one of the kindest people I know.
Oh, thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. You're a very kind man too.
Thank you.
um and be very thoughtful.
Yeah.
Um be very understanding of people. The close relationships I value. I try to keep up with my dad still,
Mhm.
call him every other week just to check in. as I'm forming new relationships, especially when I'm trying to create a family,
Yeah.
I want to really build a future marriage
Yeah.
that is going to stand the test of time, and
Mhm.
we could have that kind of like deep level of trust
Yeah.
and intimacy, and like, hey, I want to have a person in my life one day
Mhm.
who is thinking about me,
Yeah.
like how my mom and dad would think about me.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, in order to get receive that, I have to give that.
True.
Like
Yeah.
I have to be that for somebody else.
Yeah.
So I need to find the right person to be that for them. And it's like the Bible is like, giving, receiving,
Mhm.
and sowing and reaping. And so if I want something, I have to walk with integrity. I can't just expect things without, being willing to give as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know about um like the coming of your mom passing? Like did were you was it something that happened slowly that you kind of were prepared for, or was it like all of a sudden?
It was all of a sudden
Okay.
very quick, unexpected.
Yeah.
It's basically COVID around
Yeah.
that time. And,
Okay. Yeah.
just got sick, and yeah, we weren't really prepared for it.
What was the grieving period for you like?
I mean, it's still happening.
You still grieving about it?
Yeah. I mean, to a much lesser degree.
Sure.
The first year was probably the hardest,
Yeah.
and it would come in waves. There'd be times where I'd be fine.
Yeah.
I remember one time, like, I couldn't go to sleep, and I was watching cooking videos on YouTube
Mm.
and watching one of the, because I like cooking.
Yeah.
And one of and I remember just watching a video, and it reminded me of a cooking experience that I had growing up with my mom,
Yeah.
and I absolutely lost it.
It's a tree falling on the house right now. That's crazy. It's a giant thunderstorm right now.
Yeah, yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Go back to what you were saying.
Should we talk about ghosts or something?
We could
Like, I
talk
feel
about
like
anything. I
with
don't
the,
care.
or I don't know, like with this, with the soundtrack going on here.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I don't care what we talk about.
I'm just totally kidding.
But no, that's I mean, yeah, you never really stop grieving after a family member's death
Yeah,
like that. I
yeah.
can't see how you would. I mean, yeah, to a lesser degree, like you said. Um, do some of those do some moments or thoughts still resurface to the point almost as if it were just after the grieving period again? Like if do any thoughts come to mind or emotions to where it almost brings you back to
Mhm.
that stage? Because like you said, it's a lesser amount now.
Yeah.
Does anything ever get you to that point to where it goes back?
Sometimes I've had dreams,
Mhm.
and then I wake up, and how, like, and it's like felt so real, and I was like, and then I forgot, like, oh yeah, she's not around anymore.
Yeah.
But I was like thinking
Wow.
about her,
Yeah.
and then I wake up, oh yeah, like that was just a dream, and she's not here anymore.
Have you ever had those reverse dreams where somebody dies in the dream and then you wake up and you're like, they're alive? Like this isn't. I've had that a lot before, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't. No, I
Really.
haven't had that.
Like I've
I don't
had
think
it where
so.
like my brother somehow passed or something, or like when I had my
Oh
dog that
no,
my dog died, and then I would
that's horrible.
that happened a couple times when my dog was alive, that my dog would have died, and then I'm like grieving and everything in the dream,
Oh
and it feels
man.
like horrible, and then I wake up, and weirdly enough, I mean it's the most joyful thing ever. Like oh thank God,
Yeah,
but
you're
yeah, what you're talking
alive.
about is kind of like that reverse of
Yeah,
like oh, that's difficult. You want to move into the other loss?
yeah.
Kind
Let's
of
do it.
going. I don't know what limits you want. I won't go
Mhm.
too far. Obviously, it's not anybody else's business. The more private things, but
Yeah,
um, I guess as a man, what is it like to go through divorce?
yeah. It's hard. It's very lonely.
Mm. Was it a long process or was it pretty
For me, it wasn't as
okay?
long. I've heard there's probably people who've gone through a lot longer processes.
Okay. What about leading up to it before? Like, was it kind of it was obvious that it was going to happen, or was it kind of all of a sudden?
The writing was kind of on the wall. You
Okay.
start to see it a little bit. It really intensified,
Yeah.
like really fast.
Mm.
For context, we were only married, I think, 4.5 months,
Wow. Previous to that, how long were you dating?
about 9 months,
Okay, so this all happened in somewhat of the span of a year.
a little more than a year.
How old were you?
31, I think.
Okay. Oh, I didn't realize it was that recent actually.
Yeah, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that
It's
that makes sense now when you said that your mom wouldn't see you get married because I assumed that it was at a younger age.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And part of that was with the loss of my mom. I was in a very
Mm.
hurting, weak place.
You were looking for somebody to kind of take her place,
In
you
a
think?
weird way, yeah.
Okay.
Like, obviously, you can't replace a mom,
No.
but, like, kind of replacing the love, because it was such a big loss,
Yeah.
and so I was in an unhealthy place and didn't have, um that's just one aspect, but there's other unhealthy aspects that I
Mm.
have to take ownership over, um, but that was one big thing of, like, a longing.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned through therapy is the emotion of anger. Now, we're not talking about, like, anger as far as, like, being mad, but, like, anger, think of, like, being, like, a zeal or or a longing to accomplish something, like, it's like, "Man, you want something really bad,"
Yeah.
right? That kind of an anger, not like I'm mad. So I had an anger, I was like, "You know what? I want love in my life."
Mhm.
I'm at the time, I'm 30 years old or 31, whatever I was, and I'm like, "I'm ready to get married, it's time."
Yeah.
I just wanted it so freaking bad,
Mm.
and there was, like, of trying to fill something that a void that I had lost, or there was a void because of the loss of my mom, that
Mm.
you sometimes you can be too zealous, you can be
Yeah.
too, there's a threshold of, like, it's great to be ambitious, but not overly ambitious. Because if we want something too bad, if that anger or that motivation is too strong, it can cloud our judgment,
Mm. Yeah.
right?
True. True.
If it's like, if I want to make a lot of money and I just become myopic focus of, I'm gonna just make money, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make money,
Yeah.
and then at the expense of making money, I walk over people, I mistreat people, I cut corners, I lie, I cheat because it's all about making the money. It's like that becomes an unhealthy ambition.
Yeah.
And I had an unhealthy ambition, and I wasn't even fully self-conscious of it. I am now, looking back and after therapy, but you can want something too much to where it
Mhm.
clouds your judgment.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where it went wrong, you think?
I
Like
th-
there wasn't enough thought. I guess just my own thought hearing that.
mhm.
Do you think that while you were dating, you weren't looking for the right things in the partner, you were just looking to be loved?
Um, I wanted to marry a Christian woman who loved the
Mhm.
Lord and had a deep walk with the Lord. So
Yeah.
that was a desire of mine.
Okay.
I was sincere in my faith walk even
Mm.
in that season.
That's good.
Um, I just had some blind spots and some hurt
Mhm.
and some loss, that and I just wasn't fully self-aware of the strong motivation that became too unhealthy,
Yeah. I get that.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
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 Like, I was a good guy, with good
Mm.
motives. I wasn't gonna go just date anybody, and I was
Sure.
all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Well, at
Yeah.
least you don't have that regret, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to talk about
Yeah,
relationships,
let's
about
do
like the
it.
topic of men in relationships, because I feel like
Mhm.
we've had a lot of those discussions before.
Yeah.
Just me and you, like
Mhm.
in the car, pickleball, uh, in the past.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin, honestly. Like I'll
Okay.
be completely honest, I don't even know where to begin
Yeah.
on it. But there's I guess I could start it out pretty basic where um men it's a struggle in the dating world right now because men aren't acting like how true men should. And a somewhat of a theme to this podcast that I've been trying to create is the difference between being too soft as a man and being too masculine. And that too masculine meaning that kind of like when you think how the world tells a man to be.
Yeah.
And that's how it can be too masculine. Um I don't know what question to follow that up with, but um, I guess what do you notice when it comes to men and dating in the world? And we can kind of see where we go from there.
Yeah. Are you talking about in the Christian world
Um,
or just like the world in general?
let's do the Christian world.
Okay.
Let's tap into that a little bit, I guess, because that's kind of the community we live
Mhm.
in, the environment we live in Tennessee. Because I feel like Christian dating, there is
Mhm.
um, a little bit of an issue because sometimes, at least I've noticed, men or even women talk about how they're a Christian, and somehow that they use that as a label, but then they don't act in the
Mm.
best ways. So then that gets the other person to trust. Especially as like men, I've seen men do that. I've heard of men doing that
Mhm.
where they slap that label on them and immediately girls think, "Oh, well he's a good guy because he's a Christian."
Mhm.
But then they don't walk in that path. And what is it really walking in that path? None of us are a perfect Christian or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Um that's kind of what I'm referring to is
Yeah.
like what do you notice that maybe are a few like issues with
Yeah.
dating?
You want me to be
Honest.
real?
Yes, be completely
Um,
real.
Most guys, even in the church world, are having sex with the screen.
True.
Yeah.
That's a big problem nowadays.
Mhm.
That wasn't too big of a problem a long time. Obviously, like,
Yeah.
with the age of the internet.
Yeah, lust has
Yeah.
always been
Mhm.
a problem for people since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
But it's more accessible because of our phones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
And so a lot of guys have more experience at the screen than, with their own wives or,
Yeah.
so
Even like single men versus
Mhm.
men in a relationship. And as a single man, if you're looking too much into that, you
Mhm.
fall into comparison. You
Yep.
fall into lust, and that doesn't lead to anything fruitful. And
Mhm.
sometimes I feel like men, maybe that's why so many men and women are single nowadays, is that they get comfortable with that. They
Yeah.
feel like they don't need to go out on dates, find a
Mhm.
wife because they're so comfortable with their screen.
They can get a lot of great experiences without the putting in the actual real work
It's not real.
to get a
None of it's
girlfriend.
real.
None of it's real.
It's
It's so
horrible.
empty. It's
Yeah.
completely empty. It's
Yeah.
it's a total scam.
Yeah.
It's a
True.
total scam, It, sells itself as, like, the greatest thing ever,
Mhm.
and then you walk away from it pretty empty and not fulfilled.
That's how you know it's evil,
Yeah.
because it, kinda like the parable with the fig tree, is that
Mhm.
it looks like it can bear fruit, but it doesn't bear
Yeah.
fruit, so that's why Jesus cursed it.
Yeah.
Um, that's literally the
It's
thing,
a
is that you go to it and it looks fruitful, looks great, looks like it's gonna
Mhm.
be amazing for you, right? And then it's just after you just feel horrible. No
Mhm.
fruit,
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah, I feel like you can call it an epidemic nowadays.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really ruining dating even in the church
Oh, yeah.
for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, first and foremost, outside of dating, it's damaging our intimacy with the Lord and our
Yeah.
relationship. I mean, sin.
It is separating us from God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and it just sin does not help us accomplish the life that God wants us, and
Yeah.
it creates shame
Yeah.
and guilt and all these negative feelings and addictions, and so it hurts our self-image.
Mhm. Yeah.
So now you got a lot of guys who are bound, and now they feel this guilt and shame,
Mhm.
and so it hurts their so they don't feel as confident.
Sure.
So they're lacking confidence to actually be who all that God called them to be, because they're
Yeah.
they're losing their confidence. And now, because of the shame,
Mhm.
oftentimes when people are feeling shame, they isolate.
Yep.
This is the enemy's strategy.
Yeah.
The enemy's strategy is to get you away from the herd.
Yeah.
Because if you look at, like, a predator in the wild going after, the herd,
Yeah.
it's going to go after the animal, in the back that's not really in the herd. There's protection in the herd.
Yeah.
And so the enemy's goal is to get someone to stumble and then cause them to feel shame and then have them isolate.
Yeah.
The way to overcome that is to confess it
Yeah.
to a to your a trusted
Right.
accountability partner.
I'd say repent.
Yeah,
Like
and
that
repent.
if it doesn't lead to repentance, like that's the
Mhm.
solution is repentance.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned guilt and shame and immediately to my mind
Mhm.
it came if you feel that guilt and shame, it should lead to repentance. That's what will help. But the problem is nowadays men don't come to that repentance. They
Yeah.
come to the guilt and shame and like you said, they
And they
isolate.
isolate.
Yeah.
And now it's just like they're in this endless circle,
Mhm.
and people are getting older and older, and they're just more screen time, more away time,
Yep.
and now you got all these girls like, I'm getting older. We're all the guys.
Yep. It doesn't even have to be like so black and white of like it can
Mhm.
be just who you follow on Instagram. Even if
Oh
it's not
yeah.
inappropriate in a way. It's something I think I told you
Yeah.
of one lesson that my current girlfriend
Mhm.
has taught me is like even because sometimes we think Instagram, who we follow is harmless,
Mhm.
as long as it's not like out there, super out there.
Mhm.
But regardless, if you are coming across seeing all of like women's faces or whatever, even if it's not inappropriate at all, you're still seeing an abundance of that. And that's not
Mhm.
something I even thought about before
Yeah.
until she brought that up, and I was like, you're completely right. Like that is, it's probably affecting my mind,
Mhm.
and that is something that like, I mean, she made very clear from the very beginning of like, I don't want that to be. And I
Mhm.
was, at first, I understood it to a sense. But then as time went on, I really started seeing the result of that. My mind started being clearer. I started being a lot more focused in business, on my phone less. And
Yeah.
it wasn't even because like, I wasn't looking at photos or whatever, like, with any intent or
Mhm.
probably just scrolling by. Like, that's all I remember was really scrolling by because I like seeing like, my entire feed is just Orthodox and
Yeah,
podcasts,
yeah.
and
I'm
but
not
still, like,
surprised.
still having your eyes see that of, like,
Mhm.
finding a woman that can protect your eyes, your ears,
Yeah.
your every part of you, but your eyes especially for men
Mhm.
because it hasn't been, talked about too much about like the intensity of what adultery really is.
Mm.
Like if you were
Yeah.
to go deep into what scripture says about adultery, even looking at another woman with like any sort of it doesn't even have to be like super big intent or anything. It could be even just
Mhm.
like a second look. I think you mentioned that. Didn't
Mhm.
we mention that in a
I think
conversation we've had previously of like
maybe in the
that
car
first
ride.
look is
That one's free.
that one's free because that's just like you
You can't
living
control
life.
it.
The second look is adultery.
Or it's
Or
it's
it's
it's,
okay, maybe not adultery, but
yeah, it's well, I don't know the right
um,
wording, but that's where it
you
can
shouldn't be
become.
looking twice if you're with somebody.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
yeah, so if you see if someone you're very attracted to, and even if they're dressed inappropriately, I mean, it's not your fault, but
Well, I guess
what if you're walking down the grocery store and you're just, like, looking for ketchup and then they just
hmm.
walk right in front of you?
Well, yeah, you
You
can't
you
really
like, you
like you
can't
don't close
like,
your
you
eyes.
weren't looking for that,
You
you
weren't
were
looking for
you
that.
were looking for ketchup,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, if you see it and then you, like,
Right,
go back
yeah.
for the second look, that's on you.
You should do anything you can to try to turn your eyes away from it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's all I mean is, like, that's
exactly.
where it becomes unhealthy and where it's not pure. Like, I would say
Exactly.
you're still pure if you just accidentally
Yeah, of
see
course.
something,
That's just you living life.
and I think the
Yeah.
reality
Try not to
is
put yourself in those situations too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the reality is it's hard to avoid this in our culture today.
Yeah.
Even just, like,
Yeah.
sometimes you're driving, there's a billboard advertisement, and it's
Yeah.
like,
It's
what the heck, you know?
yeah, that's the world though.
Yeah.
Like I mean, the world has always been promoting that stuff, whether
Mhm.
that's billboards nowadays or old statues 2000 years ago
Mhm.
of women. Like in Roman times, right?
Yeah.
That stuff's always been around. That's
Mhm.
just the world. That's just evil and the
Mhm.
devil. That's that temptation. Temptations will always be there, but it's what we have to resist. And the
Yeah.
resisting part is what brings us closer to God.
Mm.
Being able to have that intent. Um, yeah, it's a good point. What are the biggest lessons that you've learned since being in your relationship,
Mm.
or
Every
anything that she may have taught you? I guess.
Yeah. Every person you date is gonna have their own unique experiences,
Mm,
and you have to really adapt to where they're at, you know?
yeah,
Like, if
yeah.
someone might be sensitive in this particular area, we have to be sensitive
Meet them
and
where they're at. Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
point. Yeah.
yeah. The amazing girl that I'm currently dating, I've learned, she's an Enneagram 4.
What does that mean again? Forgot.
Um,
I know Enneagram, but I forgot the numbers.
yeah, yeah, so I can pull up
Yeah, yeah.
the definition here, for Enneagram for
What is it? 1 through 8 or something? One
I
through
think it's
nine.
1 through 9.
Okay.
Um, let's see here.
But yeah,
'Cause
I would love to touch on the meeting your partner where they're at.
yeah,
But yeah, explain what Enneagram 4 is before
yep.
we go on.
So she is the individualist. Her core desire is to be authentic, significant, and deeply understood.
Mm,
Core fear is having no identity or personal meaning. So she's very
mm,
emotionally deep, introspective, creative. She loves to be told you're special.
mm.
And like these are all the reasons why you're special and no one's quite like you.
Girls
Uh
want to know that they're loved and that they're
yeah,
seen as like only for you.
but especially Enneagram 4.
My
Uh
girlfriend might be an Enneagram
yeah,
4.
like
She loves hearing that she's loved.
yeah, yeah. She feels things intensely and seeks meaning in experiences. Um and so for me, I'm a Enneagram 3 kind of very
Mm,
direct
mm.
communicator. Like I'm naturally kind of a monotone speaker. I'm not like, "Hey guys, how you doing?" Like that's
Yeah.
oh my god. But I've learned I have to like adapt to her, she
Yeah.
likes gentleness
Mm,
and she likes to be really understood. So I have to really make sure I go out of my way and adapt. Like the way I talk to some of my guy friends, I would never talk to my girlfriend because
no.
I like to joke with them and like, oh, you're an idiot, bro. But like
Sure.
but they know I love them and that's just
Yeah.
how we communicate.
Yeah.
I
You
would
can't
never
say that
I
to
would
yeah,
never like joke like that with I
same.
just I change
Yeah.
it up, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um uh,
Different way of teasing. You know, you
yeah.
tease your friends in a different way, your guy friends in a different way. You tease your
Yeah.
girlfriend obviously in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a 3, which is the achiever, so it's to be valuable, successful, and admired. My core fear is being worthless
Mhm.
or failing. So I'm very highly driven, productive, goal oriented. I'm
Yeah.
always thinking, what's the ROI and how can I be as effective as possible?
Mhm.
And that I need to consider, okay, what she loves likes to be deeply known and understood and loved. And so, yeah, it's just adapting to those things.
Before we continue the podcast, I wanted to share with you guys what makes this podcast possible. And that's the Podcast House. We're a fully done for you podcast studio based in Franklin, Tennessee. Podcasting is really difficult nowadays with the expensive equipment, the production, the skills that it takes to edit. Most of the time, that requires a team or a studio. We take care of everything for you, from the production to the editing to even short form clips. You show up, focus on the conversation, and we take care of all the rest. Now, back to the show. It's very important in a relationship to meet your partner where you're at.
Hmm.
And nowadays, men don't really do that. At least from what I've like observed over the years of being an
Hmm.
adult, and hearing about relationships, that men aren't as open to listening to constructive criticism
Hmm.
with women. Where, let's say that you have a girlfriend and she feels a certain type of way about hanging out with a group or something, and I feel like most men, maybe not most men, but toxic relationships, which are somewhat common nowadays in the world, uh, men will get defensive and say, "Well, you're crazy. Well, why do you think this? Well, you
Mm,
should do this because you're my girl and you should follow me in what I do."
mm,
Um, that's where a lot of the over masculinity takes over.
mhm.
Now obviously there's a whole nother spectrum we could go to of like men being too soft, of being like lazy, video games, like falling
Yeah.
into all of that. But the over masculinity part is that men think that they should be obeyed by their girl because, and even I've seen it brought up before in the Christian space of bringing up
Yeah.
scripture of
Like,
like
"Submit
that
to me," that kinda
submit to
thing.
me. No,
Yeah.
that's not exactly what Christ meant.
Right,
That's not
right.
exactly what scripture means
Mhm.
by
Yeah.
submit to me. It doesn't mean just like be my slave.
Sounds
No.
very controlling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very
Yeah.
controlling. Yeah, I don't know what brought, I guess maybe it's always been around, maybe it hasn't. I don't
Mhm.
know, but uh it's I guess I'm not really coming at you with a question. I guess I'm just like opening the
Yeah,
conversation to
yes.
that. Like what do you think? Do you have anything to add on to that, I guess?
Yeah, well, the way I look at a man as being a leader is you're only the you we are called to lead,
Mhm.
but really, like, it's when you're a husband is when you can cover your wife, and I
Mm.
believe that, until you're married, she y the that's when there's actually, like, a legitimate case for, like, "Hey, um, we're one,
Mhm.
and now, like, I'm taking the authority as the husband, because
Sure.
there's a certain level of authority, and I don't look at it as like, "Hey, woman, submit to me, go make me a sandwich."
Yeah.
Um, get in the kitchen, no. But it's really I look at it and I heard a pastor talk about this as being like the lead servant. It's like,
Mhm.
"Hey, how can I cover and protect my wife and serve her and really consider her
Mhm.
so that I'm leading in a way to where everything I'm doing from, how the homes run, how the children are being raised, how I'm performing at work, it's all done in consideration of her and really serving her.
Mhm.
Like leadership, talking about like the man is the leader. Well, we're just following Christ and his
Mhm.
headship, right? Because
Yeah.
we're all under his authority and under
Yeah.
Christ. And what did Jesus do? He came to serve, not to be served,
Yeah.
right? And so
Exactly.
that's the model. Is the model is we do as Jesus did.
Mhm.
He even washed his own disciples' feet,
Yeah, exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
And so we're to come and to really take the humble position like Christ did. The one person who like didn't need to die on a cross did. And it's
Mhm.
interesting because if you think about Jesus, it talks about how he's lowly, like has a lowly position. Like, come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, I will
Mhm.
give you rest. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And it talks about how he's like a lowly heart, a humble heart.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is the one who's most humble out of every other living being is the one that's exalted
Mhm.
high above. It's the highest name that's exalted
Yeah.
in the entire universe is Jesus. He's King of Kings, Lord
Mhm.
of Lords. Yet he took the most humble position of I'm gonna get literally murdered on a cross.
Yeah. Or even take it to when he was born. He was
Yeah.
born in a manger and lived in a very poor town, son of a what's it called? Uh what was Joseph? What was he called? Or what was his occupation? What was it?
Was he a shepherd?
No, he was a
Oh no, he
wood
he was a carpenter, right?
carpenter.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like he could have been the son of a king, right?
Mhm.
He could have been in a palace and had a amazing worldly life,
Mhm.
but he took on the lower end of it, like
Yeah.
coming from Nazareth, and
Mm.
Nazareth was known as a dirt pile.
Yeah.
Um, like what I think that's, well, maybe this isn't what the actual Pharisee said of like what good could come out of Nazareth. I'm more
Mm.
quoting The Chosen on that one,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
That's what we're missing nowadays in men a lot is humility.
Mhm.
Like you
Yeah,
mentioned,
you
having a humble heart and trying to follow in Christ's way. It's not just about strength. It's not just about having a woman that obeys you. It's not just like it's about serving. It's about humility.
yeah.
Being able to have that humility to take constructive criticism, be able
Yeah.
to bring yourself to your partner and also meeting your partner
Mm.
there and your partner meeting you where you're at as well, and then you meet in the middle.
Yeah.
That's the most beautiful thing is that you compromise, you sacrifice. She she compromises
Mhm.
and she sacrifices as well.
Yeah.
That's the only way it works, right?
Yeah.
It can't be one-sided.
Right.
And nowadays I think too many men expect it to be one-sided, expect the
Mhm.
woman to sacrifice,
It's such a
right?
small way of thinking, and
Yeah.
it's real so selfish.
Mhm.
It really is, and even like we talked about with relationships again, like the having sex with the screen, self gratification. It's for self. It's teaching you again. What's sinful about it is it's teaching you how to pleasure yourself.
Mhm. Yeah.
And when everything, even sex, is really meant to pleasure my partner.
Yeah.
Sorry if that's weird to say,
No,
but it's like
no.
but it's like
It's
in
not. It's true.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you see it's just selfishness. It's like, what can someone do to me? How can my woman, submit to me or fit into what I need to do? Or who can I get that's going to please me and fit into my agenda and the way I want things to be done? Is that the Christ way of doing things?
Oh,
No. So, and we have to first have that humble spirit because God rejects the proud but gives grace to the humble.
yep.
So we have to have that humility in order to have the working grace of God in our lives.
Mhm.
And then we have to really then look at, hey, how can I serve
Mhm. True.
the woman in my life? How can I serve at my in my career? And how really have the mindset of like serving. But we've been taught and conditioned in the human sinful condition is to be about all me, myself, and I
Mm,
and get what's mine.
yeah.
And we were taught to be selfish. And it's really the spirit led life is a selfless life that's looking to be a blessing, not to be blessed.
That's good.
Right.
Yeah.
It's I meant and I am blessed to be a blessing, but it's all about again serving, pouring out. When God gives me an assignment, I'm there for a reason to fulfill his purpose. Like
Mhm.
he's the boss, so to speak.
Yeah.
And he's given me an assignment. The assignment for me right now at 7:27 is to be the best podcast host
Guest?
on I'm sorry,
Whose
yes.
show is this? No,
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
I would say I'm sorry, because I run a
No, you're
podcast
good.
too.
You're
My
good.
my
You
you're
do.
right,
Yeah.
you're right. My assignment right now at now, 7:27 is to be the best podcast
Guest?
guest on the Wise Walk podcast
There you go.
and to add as much value and to serve you and to make this a great podcast. That's
Mhm.
my assignment right now.
Yeah.
And what's the beautiful thing about that is when I have the mindset like, how can I serve Jack? How can I add value to his audience?
Mm,
It no longer becomes about me, but how I can add value.
yeah.
And it takes the pressure off because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just here to help add value to make this a great experience.
Yeah.
It isn't even about me.
Yeah. And that's something like bringing God into every part of your life, right? Like
Yeah.
trying to bring Christ into your daily habits or daily assignments or to-dos or whatever. That's something
Yeah.
that I've been trying to adapt more, like trying to understand what does that really mean? Like how do you do that? Or like do
Mhm.
you pray a little bit before you go to the gym so you don't get injured or
Mhm.
that you can become stronger? Do you pray before you drive? Ask that God keeps you safe while you drive because driving is dangerous.
Mhm.
Um, like maybe it's not even just about like praying, but like having a constant prayer somehow
Mhm.
trying to have that in your life. And I've been that's I think going to be like a life journey of like trying to figure out how to be in constant prayer. Obviously, not like always saying prayers or something.
Mhm.
It can't always be. You can't think about two things at once, not all
Yeah.
the time. Like trying to understand what does that really mean, and that could help men a lot of
Yeah.
trying to bring Christ into every single day,
Yeah.
everything that you do, because if you truly do,
Mhm.
you won't fall into certain temptations,
Mhm.
certain sins, because like you mentioned
Yeah.
with screens, if you bring Christ or try to bring Christ in, you can't. You're not going to. You're gonna feel
Yeah.
guilt. You're not even gonna be able to come to that result, or like you're not gonna be able to bring yourself to that
Mhm.
because you can't bring Christ into that.
Yeah.
You can't justify that. And I mean, if you maybe there's some, well, I don't want to say like messed up people, but like maybe there's some people that can, and obviously that's not good. I don't know.
Mm.
There's a lot of people in the world, right?
Yep. A lot of sin
But
out
yeah, if you
there.
try to bring Christ into everything you do, then you will find yourself sinning less. We'll always sin.
Yeah.
We'll always fall into
Not
that at
perfect.
times.
Yeah.
None of us can be perfect. Christ
Even
is perfect. We
yeah.
can't be.
Even David was a man after God's own heart, majorly failed,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
and he paid the price for that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good point. Hmm. Let's see another subject. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about with relationships, we could go into a million
Relationships.
different things with relationships. I feel like that's
Relationships.
like
I
the
think
the
that's
number one thing that we can talk about. I also wrote down laziness in men. I know that I feel like you're a little bit
mm,
passionate about that as well.
yeah.
Like the epidemic of laziness in men, the opposite spectrum of masculinity,
Mm,
of men living in their parents' basements, video
yeah.
games, streaming, all of that's becoming, I mean, you can make money with that, obviously, but
Mhm.
that's also giving a lot of people dreams that, can lead to obesity, lead to addiction, lead to isolation. Um, whether that's video games, whether that's watching YouTube endlessly. I fall into that sometimes of like
Mhm.
watching YouTube. I don't watch like the bad stuff on YouTube, but even watching like the good stuff, the
Yeah.
like stuff that has to do with God or something, you can
Mhm.
still become addicted to that and it can take up your time.
Mhm.
So we should be like living life. We shouldn't just be watching a screen all
Yeah.
day. But that plays into laziness. Um yeah, like what do you think about laziness in men?
Yeah. Man, on one end, it's hard for me to relate
Sure.
because I just don't get it.
But you see it.
I see it,
Yeah.
but I'm just like, I think maybe a lot of it's parenting.
Mm, yeah,
And the reason why I say that is when baby eagles get to a certain age, the mother eagle makes the nest really uncomfortable
true,
and very prickly, and it forces the baby eagles to get out of the nest because they got to learn how to spread their wings and fly.
true.
And people are, I think, are too coddled,
Mm,
and they don't really let their children launch when they become adult ages,
mm,
and they help out their kids too much financially. They make it too easy,
mhm.
and to where it's like there's no need to really mature.
Yeah,
They're stuck in the nest.
they're comfortable.
Too comfortable.
Why bring yourself into an uncomfortable situation when you can just,
Yeah.
rely on mom and dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you think of one Bible story where God was calling a main character to remain in their comfort zone?
No, never. You talk
It-
about Noah, you talk about Moses, you
yeah.
talk about David, you talk about any of the
These were all
apostles.
warriors, a lot of them,
Right.
at least especially in the Old Testament.
Yeah. Well, Old Testament, New Testament, all the saints, all
Mhm.
the prophets, they lived very suffering
Yeah.
lives.
Jesus was called to die on a cross.
Right. He lived a suffered life.
He the
Yeah. But it was beautiful.
Yeah.
In a heavenly sense,
Yeah.
beautiful. Worldly, horrible.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the point.
I mean, he sweat blood because he knew he was about to sacrifice
Mhm.
himself. And so, if we're to be Christ-like, we can't remain in our comfort zone.
Mhm.
So I think part of it plays into parents, and so, if things aren't uncomfortable, we tend to not wanna change.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so, I'm a huge believer in making the nest prickly and kicking your kids out at an appropriate
You're gonna
age.
kick your kids out?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I'm kidding.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
like,
When they're
when they
adult
become of age.
now,
I get
like,
that.
if there's, like, a very unique health situation,
Sure.
or, you know, something tragic happened and they need to come back home for 6 months to get back on their feet. I'm saying, I'm not,
Yeah.
like super like, you know, never
Mhm.
rule kind of thing. There's always nuances to it, but
Mhm.
generally speaking, I think people are too comfortable.
Mhm.
And that's why in large part people are lazy.
Yeah.
Cuz if it's like if you got to eat and you got $0 in your bank account, at a certain point you'll get desperate enough to you'll work anywhere. You'll go work at Burger King,
Yep.
cuz
Yeah.
like I got to eat.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. That's humbling. That's humbling to do that.
Yeah.
Um and so I think people are just too comfortable.
Mm.
And I think I've heard it said like this, be content but never fully satisfied.
I like that. Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I try to keep that mentality of, like, I'm content, I'm grateful for what God has for me, but I'm never satisfied because there's always until I go home to be with the Lord,
Mhm.
there's still a job to be done,
Mm.
and being a good steward, like, we're called all of it is just really just a lack of maturity
Mm.
because we are called as men and women to bear fruit for the kingdom.
Yeah.
Like the fruits of the spirit in Galatians or in John 15 where it talks about, clipping some of the branches to bear more fruit, when
Yeah.
I used to help with the rose garden growing up,
Mm.
you would clip certain parts of the flowers so that they could grow more. You clip
Yep.
different parts of it so that you'd prune it so it could grow more. And so we have to really prune different things in our life to ultimately bear fruit. It
Mhm.
glorifies God for us to bear fruit. And if we're a mature person, we're going to realize that I can't be satisfied with just staying in my comfort zone because that's not where the fruit is growing.
Right.
Right. And it takes a certain level of maturity and humility to really say, okay, God, this is your assignment that you
Mhm.
have for me. I am going to follow the leading of the Holy Spirit.
Mhm.
So oftentimes we even get this mindset of like, oh, God's like this guy that, or this God that allows me to achieve my dreams.
Mhm.
And,
I
like,
get what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, how do I word it better? Like, it's like essentially using God for me to get what I want. It
Yeah.
doesn't work like that.
And that's worldly.
Yeah,
That's worldly desires as
it's such
well.
a
Right.
off mindset.
It's
And
actually how I kinda grew up thinking
yeah,
about God.
it's a very
Yeah.
selfish mindset when really if Jesus is Lord, we're on assignment and he tells us where to go.
Mhm.
And it's all about what are God's dreams for my life?
What's God's will for my
What's
life?
God's will for my life? And I'm going to
Mhm.
submit to that.
Yeah.
Jesus only did things that he was submitted to the Father. I come to do my Father's will.
Yep.
We come to do the Lord's will, because
Yeah.
it's not my we were bought with a price, it talks about in the Bible.
Yeah.
I am not my own, Paul talks about.
Yep.
And so, that's a maturity and starting to understand like, "Hey, I have a responsibility to actually bear fruit
Yeah.
for the kingdom," and a lot of people don't feel a sense of maturity.
Mm.
That Paul talks about in the Gospels how it's like, "Hey, I wanna talk." We have to remain in milk because we can't even get to the meat. We have to remain in the milk because it's like, you guys aren't there yet.
Mm.
With you don't just go straight into calculus in class. You have to start off with basic algebra and work your way up because there's levels to this. And so
Mhm.
there's levels to maturity and understanding things. And it's so hard to really get people to where they need to go when they're 30 years old and they're still living with mom and dad. It's like, man, we need to be at calculus, but you're on like basic algebra and you got zero motivation to move up the ladder.
Yeah.
It's just immaturity, and people, we got to wake up.
Yeah.
We really really do, and I think we need to get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like you said earlier about the parents, I think especially thinking it's been on my mind a lot of what I'm gonna be like as a dad, preparing your kids for the world,
Hmm.
not just expecting them to mature and grow older and like because school nowadays, like I'm not sending my kids to public school. I'm not even gonna send them to private. I want to do
Yeah,
like some kind of classical school or some kind of co-op, or I think it's called co-op or
I've
something,
heard
where like
those
a bunch of
things.
parents go together and
Yeah.
teach the kids. Um, because I mean, I went to public school all my life, went to private school junior, senior year, But the reality is that like school nowadays, I don't think school has ever really prepared kids for the world. Like, how do you do
Mhm.
taxes? What's a credit card? What's
Mhm.
what's a debit
Yeah.
card? How do you open a
Yeah.
bank account?
Yeah.
How do I make money? How do I buy a home? How do I buy a car?
Yeah.
Uh how do there's a million things that I could name off, but
Yeah.
school and school doesn't prepare the kids. Sometimes the parents don't, in certain aspects, but it is really, especially when you get a kid to high school age, 14 to 17, I think that's the time when you start preparing the kid.
Mhm.
Because then once you have them out by 18, whether they go to college or whether they move out, then they're prepared for the world at that point. Like they've been comfortable with that since they were 14 to 17, and they're ready to take on the world.
Mm.
Whereas if not, they go into the world, how I do all these things. Well, I know
Mhm.
I know what pi is, but like I know
Yeah.
how to solve math, and
Mhm.
I know what element on the periodic table that this
Yeah.
is, but I have no idea how to do my tax. I owe taxes.
Yeah.
Like I could get arrested if I don't do my taxes or if
I
I do them wrong.
wait, I went to Chipotle 500 times this year?
Right. Or yeah, like spending
Yeah.
habits. Like what is a credit card?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh my mom mentioned a family member when they were younger, they thought a credit card was just free money and
Oh,
that they could just
wow.
pay it back whenever. So they
Oh,
racked up that credit card.
man, I get a lot of credit cards, if that was free money. I
Yeah,
just
well, you work at
whoo.
somewhere that
Yeah.
doesn't like credit cards,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. Hey, if that's how that work, free money, count me in,
right,
you know?
exactly. But I mean, I'm sure that's happened with a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah.
Is like that's not how I ever viewed credit cards. Thankfully, my
Yeah,
parents taught
yeah.
me what a credit card was and
Yeah.
that you do have to pay that off.
Yeah.
But all the things nowadays in the world, like I mean, the basic things that you need to know in the world to live.
Mhm.
Most people aren't prepared for that by the time they're 18, or they
Mhm.
go to college, and then college is class, parties, and other bad things,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Unless some schools are better than
Mhm.
others. Sometimes you fall into a good friend group or whatever,
Mhm.
but in general, college doesn't really support
Mm.
doesn't have a lot of God in it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
With frats, sororities, partying, bars, all that stuff, the
Mhm.
culture of
Mhm.
college.
Yeah.
And then um the classes in college too, making you take extra classes that maybe don't have to do with your career, or maybe you take a
Mhm.
major that has nothing to do with what you want to do, and then you're just throwing money into debt, and then you're
Mm.
screwed after you're
Yeah.
spending the next 10 to 20 years paying off that debt from college with a career that you probably didn't even study for.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I
Mhm.
guess I kind of just rambled there, but
Yeah.
uh, yeah, preparing your kids, is that something that you want to do, or have you thought about that yet?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Mm,
I think it's just having that mature mindset of realizing that every good tree bears good fruit.
mm, yeah,
And we're called to bear good fruits, and one of the
yep,
best ways to grow disciples is to have children,
yep.
and to raise them
Be
up in the
fruitful and
Lord.
multiply.
Yeah, literally, it's a command in the Bible,
Yep.
be fruitful and multiply. And so, yeah, of course, I wanna
Mm-hmm.
raise up my kids to be productive members of society that add to society,
Mm-hmm.
don't take from it. Um, because we have enough selfishness around, where people are taking, taking this, taking that, free this, free that.
Mm-hmm.
What about, hey, I'm gonna give. That's the kingdom way. Is like I'm gonna contribute. I'm gonna add value. I'm going to pour into others,
Yeah.
or offer some sort of service or skill set that the world needs.
Yeah.
And so you definitely want to, or I'm definitely going to raise my kids with the understanding that, hey, this is who we are. Is we add value.
Yeah.
When we walk into a room, people should like that. That it should light up the room. It shouldn't like light up the room when we leave.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
With some people, it's like then they leave, you're like, oh my gosh, I can like breathe.
Yeah.
And like I can like you like just a little bit more like I'm more at rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it's you never want to be that kind of person to
No.
where, you know what I mean?
No.
And so walking in the world, it's like, hey, we're here to add value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you want to show love to the world too. Like
Yeah.
you want to show the love of God to the world.
Mhm.
Uh, maybe I've mentioned this quote to you before. My favorite quote of all time, which I think I've mentioned on the podcast before, was from Saint Seraphim of Sarov. Of I'm
Mm.
sure you've probably heard this before because I think other people have used it.
Yeah.
Of acquire the spirit of peace, and 1,000 around you shall be saved, and that can go with love. That can go
Mm.
with peace. That's just like like kind of living God's love
Mhm.
in your life, like trying to be a good person, trying to be Christ-like.
Yeah.
Like not even needing to shove it in somebody's face, but just being that person, and
Mhm.
people will want to be like that. And like
Mhm.
if you're trying to be more like God and people try to become more like you, therefore they're in a way trying to become more like God.
Yeah.
And it obviously if you come off in the right way, they won't be like, well, I'm trying to be more like this person and that's it. No,
Yeah.
they should also be in the mindset of like, I want to become more like God. But
Yeah.
like I see that person, that's an example. I want to
Mm.
do that. And that's like what you mentioned with people that aren't like kind of like a relief to get out of the room. Like you
Yeah.
want to be that good inspiration. You want to be
Yeah.
that good example to people.
100%.
Um, yeah. Yeah, I guess that was just my piece on
I love
that.
that. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think we're getting around to time, but, is there anything else? I think we pretty much touched on everything that I had written down.
Hmm.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about or anything that hit you?
Hmm. What do you feel like men need to do
Mm,
to level up, to be contributors to society, to be the pursuers? I know we talked about it, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
hmm. I'd say be more determined,
Mhm.
like, be more, um I feel like men aren't motivated enough nowadays.
Mhm.
We always I think that comes with screens is that we seek the motivation, like
Yeah.
how can I find a way to get motivated today? But we don't have enough of that already in us that we just seek
Mhm.
outside things to give us that motivation, but most of the time we don't find that.
Mhm.
So, being able to find motivation to do good things. Looking at the screen, you find motivation to mostly do bad things because a lot of stuff online promotes bad stuff, whether
Mhm.
that comes to any of the passions.
Mhm.
Um, and because we see a lot of motivational speeches and stuff online, we think that we'll find that. Maybe we don't. And then we get distracted. I think that's the big thing is that men are distracted.
Mhm.
Distraction's like the number one man killer right now. That
Mm.
comes with being in relationships, distraction. Maybe you
Yeah.
neglect your partner. Uh, with work, distraction. You could be on your phone. You could be interested in other things.
Yeah.
Uh, whether that's with work, with relationships, with friendships, relationship with your family. Um, Yeah, I'd say like the way that men can level up is to get rid of that distraction, but taking action too. Not just having the mindset. That's something I'm figuring out too. Like we're all
Mm.
distracted in our own ways. When we really think about it, we have distractions in our
Of
lives.
course.
I think we always
I've got
will.
distractions. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're good distractions, sometimes they're bad distractions.
Yeah.
But like for example, I used to have my charging cord for my phone near my bed
Mm.
before I went to sleep. So then I'd always be watching like, oh, I just want to watch like one more YouTube video before I
Yeah.
go to bed. Kind of like when you're a kid, you're like, just one more show, mom,
Yeah.
before I want
Yeah.
to go. Yeah, before I go to bed. Um, and once I moved that charging cord across the room where I
Mm.
had my alarm set for like 6 a.m., that also got me to get out of bed, not just
Mm.
hit snooze.
Yeah.
Um, being able to move the charging cord across the room. So then it's like, okay, phone's done. I'm going to bed now.
Mm.
I'm going to bed. Or actually, something that inspired me to do that or made me think about that was that I was visiting my girlfriend at in Massachusetts. She lives here, but uh, she also has family in Massachusetts. And there's a part in their house. It's in the middle of nowhere, so there's no cell service or anything. There's Wi-Fi, but
Mm.
only in certain parts of the house. Part where I was sleeping had nothing.
Mm.
So when I would go there with my phone, I wouldn't have like any access to my phone
Mm.
anyways because the Wi-Fi wasn't there.
Mm.
But I found that I would just put the phone down and go to sleep,
Mm.
and I get the best sleep of my
Really?
life.
You
Yeah,
do?
I mean, like something about, Wi-Fi, man, or
Wow.
access to that screen.
Yeah.
When you don't have access to that screen or when you aren't motivated to look at your phone, you get great sleep. You go straight to bed.
Mm.
You don't like, especially like I've heard like I don't know the scientific stuff with like blue light. Um,
Mhm.
Having less screen time before you go to bed.
It's good.
I've also heard 2 hours before you go to bed, you shouldn't like, and that's something I really need to fix.
Yeah.
Uh,
I me too. Me too.
but yeah, it's like that distraction,
Mm.
whether it's your phone, whether it's with things on the outside
Yeah.
world, or we're too distracted
I
nowadays.
think that's so true. It's like, if you eat dessert before the main meal, it's like you just ate a bunch of trash. If I just went and like filled up on cake, that's not super nutritious. And then I'm
Nutritious?
nutritious.
Nutritious?
Yeah. And
You just pronounced it.
yeah, yeah. Um yeah, if I just eat a bunch of cake and ice cream
Mm,
and then I'm not hungry enough for dinner and then I'm just walking around with all this like sugar and carbs,
yeah.
and like but I'm not hungry. I don't have any more desire for like the steak and potatoes that was going to be really hearty and good for me.
Mm,
It's that same concept. It's like we can fill ourselves up with so many other things. It's like to where we're too full for God, or we're too full for the great things that should be in our life because we ate the cheap dessert or the
hmm
stuff that was the trash, so to speak. Like we filled ourselves up with the non necessities,
Yeah.
and now we're too full.
It brings us further away from God
Yeah.
as a result. Sometimes we don't even realize it.
Hmm.
Even, yeah, like if whether it comes to like gluttony, like you talked about cake.
Yeah.
I know you're using that as an example,
Yeah.
but like especially in America, we don't think about the portion sizes. We don't
Yeah.
think about what we eat. That's something I've learned from fasting is that like especially it wasn't towards the beginning, but towards the beginning I was just focused on the food and trying to do it that way and like thinking, okay, I wonder what could come out of this. But now that I've been kind of getting into the routine of like certain days of the week fast from certain foods, I realize at the end of the day, it's not about the food at all. It's about being able
Mm.
to resist
Hmm.
things
Yeah.
and teaching you how to resist things.
Yeah.
And that comes with like food is a great way to do that because not getting rid of all food, but certain foods, your favorite foods,
Mm.
or foods that you think are necessary, like beef or
Yeah.
chicken or eggs, like getting rid of those at certain times, replacing them with other things, but being able to look at that and say, "No, I don't
Mhm.
want that." That can go into other parts of your life, like any of the passions.
Mhm.
You look at that, and now you know you can say no to those things.
Mhm.
I didn't understand that towards the beginning because I was just focused on the food part, but now that I've I'm not even anywhere close to being, like, good at fasting or I don't know how that works, but, I've started to realize that it's much more than just the food. It's actually about your soul.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
you're fasting your body, but you're feeding your soul.
Mm. It's good.
I'd say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it, man.
But I think that's about time.
All right,
But I
let's go.
appreciate you being on the podcast, man. It was
Yeah.
great. I think this is the first time you weren't on my old podcast, so
No,
but
first
I've been
time.
around you in the podcast game for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to plug yourself? You're well, on time God. I know you're wearing your hat. You're a
Yeah.
music artist, and then also you have your own podcast.
Yeah. Created to Win podcast and just Brian Summers TV on YouTube, where I put out my podcast episodes and also put out talking head content. And you can find me on Instagram as well. I'll put out different contents, just help people walk with wisdom, have a wise walk, if you will. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, all those links will be down in the
Yeah.
description below. If you want to check out Brian,
Yeah.
support him. Appreciate all of you for joining in. And if you're watching, make sure to subscribe. If you're listening, make sure to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But appreciate all of you for listening in. And I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation I've had with Brian. I hope you enjoyed being on the show.
It's the
Um,
best.
but yeah, and that's pretty much voice crack. That's classic of me.
Oh, man.
But yeah, appreciate having you, man,
Hey,
and I
man.
appreciate having you as a friend.
Oh,
You're a really great guy. I mean that when I say, like,
I
you are one of the nicest people I've
oh,
met,
thank you, Jack.
and I'm glad that God has been blessing you with an amazing relationship. I know your work is going better. I've known you for over a year now, I think, probably
Yeah,
around that.
probably, yeah, definitely over a year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the pickleball thing was last fall, I think,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's past that.
Yeah.
It's almost Christmas at the time we're recording this
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
So, yeah, but I appreciate you for being a true
Oh,
friend.
man. Thank you, Jack. Those are such kind words. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by
My
all the
bad.
things you said, and right back at you, man. You're a good friend, a genuine guy. I
Thank you.
really value having you in my life. Thanks for having me as a guest, and looking forward to more hangs and
Mhm.
opportunities to do content with you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it.
Alrighty, let's go.